Hello everyone. Greetings from Ghana. My name is Jennifer Blagoji, and I am the External Relations Manager for the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce. Together with the UK Liberia Chamber of Commerce, I would like to welcome you to the third and very final session of a UK West Africa Trade Opportunity Summit. Promoting bilateral trade between the UK and Ghana or the UK and Liberia is at the heart of everything we do at both chambers. And so, for that reason, we're excited to be hosting this session focused primarily on the government's policy landscape. It comes on the back of the first session, which focused on trade opportunities in West Africa, and the second session, which focused on financing options for trade in West Africa. So for this session, our panel of experts will walk us through the policy directives for the facilitation of trade between the UK and West Africa, taking into account the ongoing efforts by African countries to facilitate intra-regional integration through AfTA. They will also discuss the policy constraints to doing business in both regions. We believe this conversation is very relevant for UK companies looking to do business in West Africa, and also for West African countries looking to do likewise in the UK. We are truly grateful to our moderator for today in the person of Mr. David Ofosudote, who is the senior partner at the law firm AB and David, and our panel of speakers for today. We have Mr. Anthony Nyame Befi, who is the special advisor on AfTA to the Minister of Trade and Industry. We have Mr. Nick Penny, the policy advisor on GSP in the Trade Development Team in London. We also have Ms. Elaine Alexander, the advisory board member for the UK Liberia Chamber of Commerce. And finally, Mr. Musa Abdul Rahman, the head of cross-border trade and business synergy in Bank of Africa, Ghana. This series of webinars would not have been possible without our partners, the AM Group in London, and our sponsors, Bank of Africa, Ghana. For companies looking to do business specifically in Ghana, we encourage you to reach out to us at the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce online at www.ukgcc.com.gh as we continue to create networks and connect businesses. For Liberia, please contact the UK Liberia Chamber of Commerce at www.ukliberiachamber.org. And to everyone in our audience today, please follow us both chambers. Please follow both chambers on social media. At this point, I will hand over to our moderator for today's event, Mr. David Ofosudote, and he will tell us a bit more about himself before taking us through the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Before saying anything about myself, as Jennifer said, I'm your moderator for the day. Quite a number of things have been happening lately. UK post-Brexit is definitely one of the things which is making UK also adjust its policies for trade with the rest of the world. You have the AFCFTA, of course, COVID-19, and then lately Taliban's reappearance in Afghanistan. So a lot of things are happening, and that, for example, may have an impact on security in West Africa. And when we talk about all these things, they all impact on how we trade with each other. And that is what today's session is about, taking a look at the policy landscape and taking a look at how we are going to continue our international cooperation in order to advance trade. You cannot trade without international cooperation. So we do have 4 speakers, each of which I'll introduce in 10, and each of them will speak between 10 and 15 minutes. And then after that, we will do Q&A. So do put your questions together. And when the time comes, you will be given the opportunity to ask questions when all of them have spoken. And you can post your questions in the chat box in advance of being called to pose the questions, and the questions will be read to the audience, and the respective panelists will comment on it. Having said that, my name is David Ofosudote, as Jennifer said. I'm senior partner of AB and David Africa, which is a Pan-African law firm with offices in 6 countries. And I do play quite an intensive role on trade, particularly under the AFCFTA, more from a private sector perspective of how we can take advantage of the changing times. And I'm your moderator for the day. So let me go straight ahead and introduce the first speaker, Mr. Anthony Nyame-Befi. So Mr. Anthony Nyame-Befi has spent over 30 years in trade. He holds a bachelor's degree of economics, and then he also holds a master's degree from Leicester University. His bachelor's degree is from the University of Ghana. He also holds a postgraduate diploma in trade from the WTO. He was Ghana's chief negotiator during the rounds of the Africa Continental Free Trade negotiations, as well as the WTO negotiations in Geneva, and has also led negotiations for UNCTAD and also negotiations between Ghana and the European Union. He's clearly the best trade expert to talk to us this morning, and currently he is the advisor, technical advisor on multilateral and regional and bilateral trade to Ghana's Minister of Trade and Industry. Mr. Nyame-Befi will speak to us this morning, and then on the topic how businesses can take advantage of the opportunities presented under the UK-Ghana trade deal. Welcome, Mr. Nyame-Befi.
Thank you, moderator. So thank you very much, moderator, for giving me the floor. First,
we can see your screen, but if you can put it in slide mode.
Yeah, okay. Is it on the slide mode, please? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you, moderator. Yeah, thank you, moderator. And first, let me thank the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce for giving me this opportunity to speak on the business opportunities under the UK-Ghana trade agreement that we just signed. And in the course of the process too, I'll also talk about some of the trade deals that Ghana has signed with other countries. Namely, you know, we used to have the interim EU-Ghana Economic Partnership Agreement. We have also the African Growth and Opportunity Act, and then the AFTA. So briefly, I will give an introduction on the Ghana Transformation Agenda, our strategic anchor industries, then just some provisions on the UK new trade deal, and then investment opportunities that businesses can take advantage of in Ghana, and then maybe why invest in Ghana, and then conclude. Those in Ghana, you realize that since 2017, the government of Ghana, especially Ministry of Trade, have been embarking on industrial transformation agenda to change the landscape of our industry activity and improve the business environment in Ghana to enable Ghana take advantage of the trade deals, the EU-Ghana Interim Economic Partnership Agreement, African Growth and Opportunity Act from by the US, ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, the AFTA, and then the latest, the Ghana-UK Interim Trade Partnership Agreement. And this industrial transformation agenda hinges on one district, one factory initiative, the strategic anchor industries initiative, the one region, one park, the improvement of the micro, small, and medium scale enterprises and entrepreneurship development, then the national export development strategy, and then improving the business environment. So for the strategic anchor industries, we realized that doing business as usual will not move the Ghana economy forward. So the government decided to come out with 10 strategic anchor initiatives. And the first industry anchors in that initiative is the vehicle assembly and component manufacturing. Second, garments and textiles. 3, pharmaceuticals. 4, petrochemicals. 5, vegetable oil and fats, including oil palm. And then 6, industrial chemicals from industrials of Ghana. We have vast resources for that one. Then we have integrated bauxite, aluminum, iron and steel, and the machinery and equipment. So let me now talk briefly about the new interim trade partnership agreement between Ghana and UK. It replaced the Ghana-EU interim EPA that we were trading under the UK before 31st December 2020. So without signing and ratifying the interim ITPA, about 2/3 of Ghana non-traditional exports will have faced higher tariff and will have made it uncompetitive in the UK market. And the agreement was concluded in February 2021 and signed in March 2021. And it entered provisional application on 5th March. Then it was ratified by the Parliament of Ghana on 21st May. So the moment it entered provisional application from 5th March, the Ghanaians could export their products to UK market. But for the Ghana one, because of the constitution, it has to be ratified by Parliament. So now that it has been ratified, the expectation is that from 1st September, the Ghana tariff liberalization will commence. The main provision in the agreement is that, one, it covers trade in goods and development cooperation and includes rendezvous clauses for future negotiations on services and other trade-related issues. It has chapters on trade defense mechanism, technical barriers to trade, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, trade facilitation, and dispute settlement. By this agreement, Ghanaians can export 100% duty-free, quota-free to the UK markets for all imports except arms and ammunition. Then for Ghana side, we will gradually and progressively open 80% of our market to the UK goods, taking into full account differences in level of development. So 30% of the tariff lines have been excluded, which we term those products as sensitive and special import products. So the impact or the opportunity is that it will enable market access and export development, which is now crucial for Ghana existing and potential export diversification. Then number 2, Ghanaian industries can also import intermediary goods to add value, intermediary goods and machinery to add value to it at a reduced cost. Then for the public, it will also reduce cost of importing some products from the UK for their personal use. Then the expectation is that there may be some revenue loss, but in the agreement, UK has promised development cooperation and financial support, whilst we also address our diversification needs. Briefly, the trade deals we have in Ghana that businesses can take advantage of. First is the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, which is duty-free, quota-free market access to all ECOWAS member states. Then the second one is the African Growth and Opportunity at AGOA. And there about 4,500 duty-free tariff lines can be exported from Ghana to US without any import derivation commitment by Ghana. Then for the EU-Ghana interim trade partnership agreement, the UK one, as I just said, is 100% duty-free, quota-free market access. And then for Ghana, 80% gradual opening. Then for the after, it is 90% opening for general goods. And then later it will follow with 7% opening of sensitive goods, while 3% of the goods will be excluded from liberalization. And it will take ECOWAS member states 13 years to liberalize 97% of our goods. Then let me now talk about investment opportunities for businesses to take advantage. So based on all these trade deals, the government launched in 2020, last year, the National Export Development Strategy with the target of increasing non-traditional export revenue from 2.9 billion in 2019 to about 25.3 billion by 2029. And we have done research and studies in Ghana, and there are potential areas that I'm just going to mention that businesses can take advantage and invest as FDI or partner with Ghanaians, and they will, the return is very high. And these high priority performing non-traditional products are cashew, both processed and in shell. So you can even embark on cashew plantations or add value to it. We have horticultural products, oil seeds, processed, fish and fishery products, textiles and garments, natural rubber sheets, processed cocoa, aluminum products, articles of plastic and other petroleum products, pharmaceutical products, iron and steel products, automobiles and vehicles, industrial salt, industrial starch, agro-process, and then both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Then somebody will ask why invest in Ghana? And we have several reasons why you should consider Ghana as the first investment destination in Africa. The first one is that Ghana has stable microeconomic environment, strong democratic credentials, political stability, safe haven for investors, good enabling infrastructure, namely energy, roads, seaports, airports, telecoms. And we even have railway network under development to link our Saharan brothers, Mali and Burkina Faso. Then we also have access to commercial justice and then dedicated workforce and skilled manpower. So in conclusion, I will say that all foreign and Ghanaian investors should focus their trade and investment engagement with Ghana as the gateway to Africa to boost their companies by creating win-win partnership in Africa. For any information on the trade deals that I just mentioned, and then on imports and exports on transit goods, you can go to the website or contact the following companies. The first one is the ICONS. You can get procedures for exports and information on exports, imports, and transit goods. You can also get all information on the AfTA UK-Ghana new agreement, the interim economic partnership agreement also at that website. Then for Export Promotion Council, you can go there to know more about potential imports and then get any advice. Then those who want to import food, drugs, and cosmetics, you can also go to Ghana Food and Drugs Authority and they will help you. Then for Ghana Standards Authority also, you can also contact them on export and imports of some high risk products. On this note, I thank you very much for your attention. So, moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Namibefi. Thank you. You made it within the time, actually less than the time. Thank you. So I'm sure we'll have enough time for Q&A and we will come back to you. Our next speaker has had a lot of experience in diverse areas relating to this subject matter of discussion. Indeed, she actually was part of the team that lobbied the US Congress on behalf of South Africa in the renewal of South Africa's access to the US markets. She also became the first chairperson of the South Africa Export Regulation Body. And then she had experience with the WTO, working in various sectors in the WTO, as well as other allied organizations, the FAO, just to mention a few. For 4 years, She also worked on textile trade and clothing investments promotion. And currently, she is an advisory board member of the UK Liberia Chamber of Commerce. She speaks to us on how businesses in Liberia are leveraging opportunities under the UK Generalized Scheme of Preference, the GSP framework. And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Elaine Alexander. Elaine, your audience.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be sharing with you today. I'm hoping that I can bring up a little presentation, which was done. Mine is quite different. It's really, really focusing on have we been leveraging the opportunities we have with within the UK GSP. Can we go to the next slide, please? And I'm not running this, so you can, I'll have to be asking, so I hope you don't mind that. I apologize in advance. I just wanted to put up what had happened in the last year, and obviously COVID-19 has had a huge impact. But the reality is that currently Liberia's trade in goods, especially in services, is quite small. In goods, it's less than £1 million at the moment. We've had a decline year on year of 2 million. But if you look at the average exports over 10 years, although it says 8 million, the reality is it's always been quite small. We had anomaly years in 2016 and 2018 where there was large amounts of exports coming from Liberia, which has skewed the average export data. And then the main products have been metals, vegetables and fruit, wood corp manufacturing, that's mainly furniture. We have general industry machinery that's mainly intermediary where it's coming in to have further value add. And we have other chemicals. Can we have the next screen, please? Next slide, please, Zaki. Okay, so accessing the UK. Currently, what Liberia falls under LDC status, least developed country status, and within the framework, it's allowed duty-free, quota-free, like Ghana has been experiencing, and the rules of origin. I think there are opportunities coming with the UK trade preference scheme in 2022, and I think we'll be looking to leverage that where the rules of origin, we hope, will be simplified for Liberian companies, and it will make it easier. And even from an accumulation point of view, hopefully that will allow better integration into the region as well as into Africa, and then obviously on outward into the UK. What we see as barriers with current rules of origin are our main barrier, SPS and technical requirements and domestic structural constraints. I also want to say that the UK is, in reality, is not been a major partner, a trading partner for Liberia. The US is a major trading partner. We see the EU, other countries in the EU as a major trading partner, and the Middle East, and now China. There is an arrangement, bilateral trade agreement between Liberia and China, which allows 90% of products to go in duty-free, quota-free, which is an enormous opportunity for Liberia. So I think from leveraging the UK point of view, that may come more from regional integration and accessing other value chains, or looking at new niche markets in the UK from a Liberian perspective. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So what are the other opportunities? Well, we've seen with COVID-19 disrupted supply chains, and I think those disrupted supply chains are bringing a change in how we even look at our trading policies, because we've got to rethink the way the supply chains have been put together and rethinking access. So I think that when it comes to most countries' trade policy, I think there's going to be a need to take that into consideration and relook at the way things are done. There's been a regionalization of supply chains. I think people are looking closer to home and how can they make a more circular economies. That's bringing a change in the way supply chains operate, and that's going to have an impact on policy as well. from the West Africa and Africa integration into global supply chains. I believe that that's an enormous opportunity, but it's also an opportunity that we can use to actually access the UK, because we see supply chains there, manufacturing supply chains that will then take the opportunity to access UK and EU and places. There's also global food demands. We know that by 2030, 2050, we look at the 2060 projections that the world will be looking for increased food. And we've seen that now with the changes with Brexit. We've seen that the UK is increasing food demand. We've even seen shortages because of disrupted supply chains and because of the world being sort of pulled back and unable to supply. But that is going to continue as the population grows, as economies get back on track. We're going to see an increased demand. So I think from a UK perspective, those will be the areas that Liberia has an abundance of opportunities in the agricultural sector, will be able to take advantage of fruits, vegetables, nuts, oils, and cocoa. The other area that the world is looking at is alternative protein sources, and that's fish. And that is one area that Liberia also has an abundance of, and a large opportunity to exploit and use that to export into the UK. And then a number of intermediary products. So currently, Liberia already export rubber and palm oils and chemicals, which are all taken in, gold and precious stones, and that's all for more added value. And those come into the UK already, but in very small numbers. Can we have the next slide, please? So what is Liberia's response? I think the national trade policy has laid out clearly how Liberia wants to actually partner and associate with the world in regards to trade. It's clearly stated its WTO commitments, and it's committed to operating within that framework. There's been several new laws that have been brought out to reform things like competition law, the Small Business Empowerment Act, insolvency laws. Those were all brought in under the trade policy to actually enable business and to support business in being able to access export opportunities. I think that Liberia also supports increased regional integration, because Liberia currently is probably one of the least countries in West Africa that does integrate. So I think that it really needs to increase its regional integration and also into Africa value chains. I think Liberia business is refocusing on the export products, rethinking the destinations. And I think if we look at last year's exports, we can see that Liberia has turned around, and we're now seeing product like fruits and vegetables and nuts becoming the #1 exports into the UK. As I said, I think that there is opportunity in the new proposed UK trade preference scheme that will allow changes in certain areas. And I think that provides an opportunity for Liberian business to access more of market share in Liberia. I thank you. I think thank you for the opportunity today. I know it was slightly different to my colleague who presented previously, but I'm hoping that that helps a little with Liberia and how it's accessing the UK. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. That was spot on within the time also. Thank you. And we will keep the questions and then come back to you during question time. Now, the UK government has recently published revisions to its generalized scheme of preferences, and that has been mentioned both in Jennifer's introduction as well as in Elaine's presentation regarding what Liberia, as an example, may be able to take advantage of. But we need to know more about this, exactly what it is, exactly what is new. And there's no better person to do that than a person from the Department for International Trade, in the person of Nick Penny, who is a policy advisor on trade and development from the London office. So over to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, David, and a pleasure to be here. I'll just try to share my screen now. Is that working?
Yes, the video was on, but it's gone off again. Okay, it's back.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, Nick, we can see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so thanks for the introduction, David. I'm just going to talk about the changes to the UK's unilateral trade preference scheme that are going to come into effect in 2022. And as mentioned, I'm a policy advisor in the Trade for Development team based in London. So just for a recap for anyone that doesn't know GSP too well, so at the moment, the UK's largely replicated the EU scheme that provides preferential market access to around 70 developing countries. It's got 3 frameworks. So for least developed countries, the least developed country framework gives duty-free, quota-free access to for all products except for arms and ammunitions, very similar to the EU scheme. For low and lower middle income countries, the general framework provides full or partial removal of customs duty on 2/3 of tariff lines. And for low and lower middle income countries, which are classified as economically vulnerable, the enhanced framework creates an opportunity for full removal of customs duties on 2/3 of tariff lines. But to gain these benefits, these countries also have to ratify and effectively implement 27 human and labour rights conventions. So that's just a recap of the scheme as it is at the moment. And just to give some context of the type of products that are currently coming in under the UK GSP scheme, we can see it's mainly textiles and apparel, some machinery, some mineral products, and some agriculture. So those are the main products that are currently coming in. Yes, I think Elaine just mentioned it, but one of the governments committed to improving the scheme and making it more generous for developing countries and launching it in 2022. And the aims of the improvements are a simpler scheme for partner countries and businesses to understand and use, and a scheme that presents sustainable economic growth. So as Elaine mentioned, we currently launched a public consultation on this, and we're asking for views from stakeholders across developing countries as well as in the UK. And some specifics that we're asking views on simplifying the rules of origin requirements for LDCs, as Elaine just mentioned, simplifying and reducing tariffs for low income and lower middle income countries, and reassessing the approach to goods graduation for countries in the general framework, and also potentially reassessing our approach to some of the conditionality requirements for all of the frameworks. So as mentioned, the enhanced framework have to effectively ratify and implement 27 human and labour rights conventions. So we're looking if we can potentially simplify that. And there are also some conditions for the general framework countries and also the LDC framework countries as well. And we're seeing if we can potentially simplify some of these conditions for the schemes as well. So in terms of West Africa, potentially the main opportunities will be changes to rules of origin requirements. So there's kind of 2 areas of rules of origin that we're potentially looking to liberalise. So the first is on product-specific rules. So we're hoping that by kind of changing some of these, we're going to avoid some of the overly restrictive requirements on product-specific rules. So where possible, we're looking, so lots of these changes are based on the Nairobi decision at the WTO. So some of the changes we're looking at are allowing the use of non-originating materials for up to 75% of the final value of the product, providing an alternative rule for the same product if beneficial. So the business can choose what product rule works best for them and what will be easiest for them to claim the rules of origin requirements, and removing rules which impose a combination of 2 or more criteria for the same product. And then, as mentioned, we're also looking at potentially expanding accumulation opportunities for all LDCs. So, and with the hope that it makes kind of imports and exports from LDCs easier to qualify to get in the lower tariff and being able to claim the GSP rate. So where possible, the government is considering allowing LDCs to accumulate with other LDCs, allowing LDCs to accumulate with other GSP countries, and allowing LDCs to accumulate with other GSP countries that and potentially form part of a regional group. So potentially looking at accumulation with all GSP countries in Africa and taking steps to kind of reducing the administration burden of applying for accumulation at the moment, which can be quite bureaucratic. So yeah, so some of the other improvements are simplifying and reducing potentially some of the tariffs for low and lower middle income countries, so both in the general and the enhanced framework. So we're looking at potentially bringing more products in the scope of these frameworks within the consultation. We're also looking at reassessing potentially the approach to goods graduation. So at the moment, countries in the general framework, if one of their exports or is deemed sufficiently competitive, but this is done at the chapter level, if it's deemed sufficiently competitive, then it will come off the GSP rate. So for example, some textiles from India will be taken off the GSP rate because they're deemed sufficiently competitive without getting the discount. So that's another area that we're potentially looking at, if we can potentially see if we can liberalize or make more generous. And then, as previously mentioned, potentially looking at some of the conditionality requirements for both the general and the enhanced framework and the LDC framework as well, and looking at where we can potentially simplify some of these requirements for some of the monitoring requirements for the EU GSP scheme, especially in the enhanced framework, was also quite bureaucratic. So in terms of the consultation, it would be great if anyone that's interested undertakes the consultation. It's currently live, this web address. So yeah, please input if you were interested, and if you're interested in kind of the policy formulation. It's still very much at the policy formulation stage, and this is why we're going out to consultation to find out what's kind of important to developing countries and exporters from developing countries. So it'd be really great if you could feed into that consultation process and help us formulate the final policy proposals, because at the moment, these are kind of our ideas, but isn't the final policy. And yeah, just to reiterate, but the changes are scheduled to come into effect in 2022. So this is when we can potentially start taking advantage of hopefully some of the opportunities that will come from changes to the scheme. But thanks, David. That's kind of a whistle-stop tour of the changes and the improvements, but I'm happy to take any questions after as well.
Thank you, Nick, for that overview. And as you put it, the whistle stop. Great. We will definitely have questions for you from the audience. Our last presenter is a chartered accountant, and he also holds a graduate qualification in oil and gas, as well as an MBA in accounting and finance. He's been in the banking sector for long. Prior to joining his current employers, he worked with what is now known as the Access Bank, which used to be the Intercontinental Bank, and he was head of global trade for a period of about 10 years. But he currently heads cross-border trade and business synergy at the Bank of Africa. And he, coming from a bank, you know surely that you cannot trade without finance. Money is the one which oils trade. And I have the pleasure to present to you Mr. Musa Abdul Rahman, who will speak to us on the emerging opportunities and policies, and where the bank sits in terms of financing trade that are emerging in the West Africa-UK relationship. Yes, over to you, Mr. Abdul Rahman.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. I bring you greetings from Bank of Africa, and good morning to participants and then co-panelists. BOE has made trade a strategic pillar in our operations due to our footprints in Africa and then the globe as a whole. BOE is a member of the BMC group. BMC is a listed company on the Casablanca Stock Exchange with a total capitalization of 4 billion and total assets of 32.2 billion. And that tells you our global strength. Of course, we are present in 32 countries in 4 continents, and in Africa, we are in over 20 countries. I might say that for BOE, we have a well-designed value proposition for our customers. And then they are based on 3 key pillars, which has to do with global presence, which has to do with customer focus, which has to do with standardization. We are a Pan-African bank. And as I said, we have global presence, and we have cherry-picked our partners to make sure that we are able to serve our customers regardless of where they are located. Because we cannot be everywhere. But because we are global in character, we make sure that we partner with strategic partners in Europe. And you can talk to the likes of IFC. We are members of, we are part of the Global Trade Finance Program of IFC. We also have a partnership with 5-star banks like Commerce Bank. We also StanChart, New York, and then we also work with DZ Bank. So if you are an investor and you are with any of these banks, of course, including the BMC branch, you are most welcome. We'll be able to provide you with the value that you require. Of course, trade is a dynamic subject, which require at some point in time to be able to listen to the customer and be able to provide solutions for the customers. And indeed, we also tailor-made our, we have tailor-made cross-border products and then investment solutions in Africa and then, across the continent. When it comes to customer focus, we do not joke with it. We pay special attention to our customers because our survival depends on our customers. And we also cherish repeat business. And so our institution has been organized in a manner that is able to provide some sort of dedicated service to our client. So we have very experienced and dedicated team that understands the needs of corporate clients and SME clients across the industry. Mr. Befi in his presentation has made mention of the strategic areas that the government is dealing in. And nonetheless, we are also fashioning our services in that regard to make sure that we are in tandem with what governments ought to do to bring the economy on sound footing. So Mr. Befi, thank you very much for at least for making my work much more easier. I do not want to bore listeners with our footprints, which I've already mentioned. In terms of engaging our clients, we are not only interested in the money that we make from our clients, we are also interested in ensuring that we add value to our customer. We become trusted business partners. And whether we are making money or not, our concern is that our customer should receive value. So advisory service is very key to us. And so whatever proposition or engagement we have our customer, we dig very deep into their business and ensure that at the end of the day, we provide, alternatives to our customer. They may come with certain, objects in mind, but after engaging them, they sometimes revise their position or even abandon it and take what we offer them. And we did this, very well during the COVID era, when some of the company nearly, threw in the towel and then shut down their operation. After engaging them, they realized that they could, even still do trade locally, despite the disruption in the global supply chain. And they made a lot of money, and was able to retain over 1,000 workforce within their organization. So that is what Bank of Africa is noted for. We encourage both local and then international, trade. Of course, in the era of COVID, where social distancing has become very important, our convenient platforms, have been, worked on, and then to the extent that we are able to provide 24/7 services to our client within a secured, IT environment. We are very much aware of cyber crimes, and for that matter, we have factored that into our operations and architecture. Our staff are well trained, no doubt about that, and we continue to receive training from our institution to make sure that all our touch points, wherever you go, they give you that sort of customer service, that gives you the best of customer experience. In terms of operational excellence, we are there. And, we also have one of the simplified banking processes in getting, relationship established with us. In terms of compliance, global compliance has become very critical in recent times, that if you do not, have sustainable or robust compliance practices, you may lose all that you have worked for in the past, because you could suffer, reputational damage, you could suffer, regulatory damages, and so forth and so on. Nobody, we already told you that we have cherry-picked, global partners, and none of them would want to deal with any institution that is not transparent, in terms of its compliance and processes. Bank of Africa, we are there. Now, when it comes to our product offering, of course, we have cross-border trade, cross-border and trade finance solutions. We also have corporate banking solutions. We also have retail banking solution, and treasury and investment solutions. Letters of credits are things that everybody is known, in the industry as one of the key payment solutions. But of course, we provide that certainty to our import clients that when they come to us, we will craft the LC in a manner that will give them that sort of confidence that, or surety, that they will receive the goods in the right quantity, in the right quality. And that also provides the exporter or the supplier that sort of comfort that indeed, if they supply, they will be paid. And we also have partners that are able to help these suppliers also be able to discount, their LCs. Open accounts and remittances are all part of the services that we provide to our customers. And I would want to urge our partners, trading partners in Europe, that they should, adopt suppliers credit in a manner that will not bring too much financial burden to our importers over here, so that at least they will be able to expand, their business operations. Of course, exporters may also be eager to know from Ghana, what do you have for us? Indeed, for the exporters, some of the challenges that they will have is the fact that they want to have financial support. And when you tell them that, okay, financial support, what sort of collateral do you have? Or what sort of security or fallback do you have? Some of them only tend, they throw their hands in despair. Nonetheless, we have a product that we are able to provide to these exporters, to be able to discount their receivable. Once the other end, we have received confirmation from the other end, yes, indeed, this particular, merchandise has been supplied to us, and indeed, it is an obligation that is owed to the exporter. We take it upon ourselves, and then we discount it without recourse to the exporter. And at maturity, we make sure that we settle everything amicably. Back-to-back LCs are things that we also, handle to make sure that at least we are able to ring-fence transactions, around the instruments and not necessarily requiring, standard securities as required. I've already made pre and post export finance. We also do that to make sure that our exporters who would want to get products, from the field to augment their operations, we do give them that support. Trade advisory services, I've spoken about it. In the present situation that we are in, we want to encourage after, and we want to also go beyond the continent. So our customers who are with us, we provide them with, some sort of guarantees, to be able to extend be able to obtain contracts, outside our jurisdiction. Structured trade finance, there are certain transactions that comes in a form that is not regular to what we are used to. And of course, as I told you, our people are well experienced. We sit down and we structured it, and we make sure that we give you the best of the value in a very secured way. When you come to our corporate banking solution, term loans and the revolving term loan facilities, there are things that are available. RICS and syndications and RICS participations. Of course, every bank in Ghana has a limit to which they can lend to a single borrower. And so to the extent that you are hitting your SOL or your single obligor limit, if we face that situation, we will approach our colleagues, okay? And if our colleagues also have that situation, we are always ready to be able to support them, because we are well capitalized and we are not under any resuscitation program. Of course, SME support is very key. In AFTA, the thing that will propel after to make AFTA a success is the SME sector. In that regard, we pay very serious attention to SMEs when it comes to support. When we also look at our treasury management is also very key in any form of trade business. When you are settling your transaction, you either settle it.
Rahman,
yes.
You have just a minute or so to go.
Okay, so So just to wrap up, I have already spoken about why you should come to Bank of Africa. I've spoken about our strength as a member of a BMC group. I've also mentioned that we are well capitalized. I've also mentioned that we have tailor-made cross-border trade, strong corporate governance, risk management, and also ISO certified, strong advocate of SDGs, presence in a global presence with cherry-pick partners, and then also we are also having the experience, staff that will enable us to be able to serve our customers better. I will stop over here. Maybe during the Q&A sessions, there would be questions to throw more light on the, our value proposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Rahman. It's now time for Q&A. You can post your questions in the chat box. So far, I think I do have only 2 questions in the chat box, one of which actually has been answered already. That has to do with copies of the slides. And I think UKGCC has already answered that they will put the whole recording online. So I'll pick the one question outstanding, and then if there are no more questions coming in the chat box, I will be posing questions from what I put down as a moderator when the presentations were being made. So the first question goes to you, Mr. Nyamibefi. The questioner wants to know how the private sector can interact with the AFCFTA to be able to take advantage of what the AFCFTA brings. Essentially, I've paraphrased the question, but that's essentially the question from the questioner. Can you pick that up?
Okay, thank you very much, moderator. And I also thank the participant for asking this useful question. Already, Ghana has, as I told you, under the industrial transformation agenda, we are preparing to support the private sector, the SMEs, and then the big companies. So currently, we have a national AfTA liaison office, and we have gone further to come out of working groups to ensure that it will be easier for people to trade across Africa to boost Ghana intra-African trade. So currently, we have identified some export products, including some of the ones I mentioned during the presentation. Then number 2, we have also even identified about 100 companies, those who are already exporting to Africa, potential, then those who are exporting to Europe and others, which we think can take advantage of the AfTA, and then potential ones that can export to Africa, especially under the 1G, 1F and others. So if his company is not part of the initial 100 that we have selected to literally enable them go to Africa, they can come to the National AfTA Liaison Office, which is located on the ground floor of the AfTA African Trade House, the AfTA Trade House. Or they can come to the Ministry of Trade or Ghana Export Promotion Authority, and then we'll give them the right things, because there are several incentives and other things that we can support him to go to Africa. And the good news is that already Ghana products have high reputation of quality in the African area. So, and we have most companies already are exporting what we call light industry products to Africa. So he should feel free to contact us, or he can, the presentation, I left my email and then the telephone number, so you can contact me after the webinar.
Thank you. There is a follow-up question for you, but I will go to Elaine for a question before I come back to you. That follow-up question, so you think about it as I go to Elaine, has to do with how can or what is it that is being done relating to infrastructure, particularly for transportation. It is from the person who has said the first question, particularly transportation and how it will help them interconnect and trade with each other. But I will move to Elaine and come back to you, maybe if you have to think about the infrastructure question. Elaine, the question, an anonymous attendee is asking, what is the current investment climate in Liberia, and why should other countries trade and do business with Liberia?
Okay, good question. Two questions. First question, what is the current investment? Yeah, it's challenging. And I think that there are a number of structural challenges. I think doing business there is difficult, but I also think that there are enormous opportunities. So I think that if you're a company or if you are in a particular place and you see or you have a need to invest or to expand and you see the potential in Liberia, then I think that can be worked with you together and you can actually find opportunities. Although I would say it is challenging, but I think, there's always risk. But, they say the higher the risk, the higher return. We've seen that certainly in Africa. I think the second question is why should? I don't think there's a should. I think there'd be why would countries want to trade and with Liberia. I think there are growing opportunities. I think there is a willingness with the current policy environment to grow, to change structurally and to actually expand trade. And I think that is in the areas of agriculture and food and particularly the types of product that the world is going to need, facing the food shortages, and we will face food shortages. I think we have forgotten those things with the onset of COVID-19, but I think food security is going to be a major issue, and it's not just going to be faced by those in the developing world. I think we've seen now with COVID and the break in those supply chains, how much we're all dependent on each other. And I think Liberia, with its abundance of land and coastline and those types of things, has the opportunity to actually be able to sell into or to add into these supply chains. So it's really the opportunity. That would be why you would trade and your need. Thank you.
Okay, just a short follow-up question for you, Elaine, before I move back to the questioner wants to know whether you have a list of items, goods and services that can be exported into Liberia from West Africa currently.
I don't have a list that I've made, but there are certainly, Liberia imports an enormous amount of different goods and services. That's how it is. So yes, that's something that could be done. There are a number of things that it certainly needs. So I'm happy if people want to contact me on that.
Thank you. Then maybe back to you. The question is on infrastructure, particularly transportation.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Actually, what is happening is that when the African Heads of State launched this after, they also realized that there was lack of what they call some crucial sensitive infrastructure and other things that is preventing increase in intra-African trade. So they also launched what they call action plan to boost intra-African trade and encourage member states to implement them. And because of that, from February last year, Ghana, the Honorable Minister for Trade, Chematin, we launched what we call the technical working groups for the action plan to boost intra-African trade. And this action plan is hovering on 7 clusters: trade facilitation, enhanced productive capacity, trade-related infrastructure, trade finance, and then trade facilitation, and then factor market. So under the trade-related infrastructure, the technical committee has been working. In fact, all the technical working committees, they have worked. So the government has now come out with what they call after action and implementation plan that is going to be launched early next month or before early any time from next week. So under the trade-related infrastructure, we have come out with recommendations, and then the ministry is also liaising with other MDAs who are in charge of them to see how we can improve our transportation. Then when we come to the airports also, you know, this Terminal 3 expansion and what have you, to make it easier for air cargos to be taken advantage of under the after. Then when you come to the ports also, we have this port modernization in Tema. And currently they have started to modernize the Takoradi port also in addition. Then as in the presentation I mentioned, we have the railway network development in place, and all things being equal, the expectation is that this railway network, when it's completed, will be up to the Paga port, you know, to link Burkina Faso, Mali. And so the government there are a lot of, I would say, implementations already going on to improve our roads, airports, the ports, the seaports. And so we believe that when other AFTA countries or other ECOWAS member countries also improve their network, then it will facilitate free movement of goods and services. The government also has come out with a policy to reduce the number of checkpoints on our road to facilitate transit and facilitate exports from Accra to maybe Nigeria, or from Accra to Cote d'Ivoire and what have you. So we have so many things in it, and already we have a monitoring team that are ensuring that those trade-related infrastructure are in place. And you will also recollect that when it comes to even the clearance of goods, to the introduction, the bold introduction of this integrated custom management system, that is the ICOMS, have also improved a lot the number of the times and costs in clearing goods at the various ports, be it exports, imports, or transit goods. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will come back to you, and let me tell you the question I'm coming back to you on before I go to Nick, because the next question will go to Nick. So if you listen to Nick's presentation, among the other things, the GSP is looking at allowing LDC countries to be able to take advantage in a cumulative basis. And if you have the EU or the UK after Brexit open up its market, we all know that each country individually in West Africa is small enough. Even if you take Nigeria as an individual country, it's still small enough. And I think Elaine has already mentioned that of Liberia. So it's nice to talk about Ghana, but what is it that you are doing collectively with other West African countries to be able to take advantage of the changing framework of the GSP? Is there something that we can hear other than the individual Ghana one? So I'll come back to you on that whilst you prepare the answer. But the next question is for Nick. Nick, somebody wants to know if the changes in the framework covers finished products such as jewelry and chocolate and various finished products. or they are just restricted to intermediate products?
Thank you. Yeah, I think the changes will also cover finished products as well. And if you've got any kind of suggestions about the changes as the policy is just being formulated, please input them into the consultation. And if there are certain products that you'd definitely like brought in scope of the changes, please add that to the consultation feedback. As I say, we're still devising the final policy proposal. So any kind of feedback on specific products that you'd like brought in scope, that's really useful information for us. So yeah, please feed that back into the consultation if there are specific products that you'd like brought in scope, and we can have a look at that.
Which takes me to a follow-up question for you, Nick. Can there be a little bit more detail on how someone feeds into the consultation process? What are the contact points? Is it through UKGCC or through the Chamber of Commerce, or is there any direct? Who is the contact person? What are the forms by which the consultation process takes place? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, David. That's a really good question. And I'll put a link into the chat about where anyone can undertake the consultation, and it's open for everyone. And it's quite a simple consultation. You just click through the link, input your name or your business. Individuals can take it, or businesses or business associations. And if you just click through the link, you can take it. It's an online survey. You can just input the bits that you are interested in. You can skip parts that you aren't so interested in. And yeah, it's great to get as much feedback as possible once we're devising the policy at the moment. So I'll put a link into the chat bar. I hope everyone can see it, not just the panelists.
Okay. We'll look out for the link, Nick. And also, is there opportunity for associations in particular, after they send their contribution, to engage you or engage the team who is responsible for this?
Yeah, there will be opportunities to engage me. I'll put my email address in the chat bar as well. As I say, that there's 70 developing countries who all benefit from the GSP scheme, and we're only quite a small team, so we can't speak to everyone, but we'll do as best as we can. And yeah, I'll put my email address in the chat bar as well.
Okay, so back to Nyamibe again, and then after that I will be coming to Abdul Rahman for a question relating to their finance products. Nyamibe, I gave you the question before we went to Nick, so can you respond to that question?
Yes, okay. For the changing framework of the GSP, you, as you may be aware, when he was speaking about the GSP, he spoke about two main types of GSP. The one for the LDCs, which they can export everything except arms and ammunition. And then the second one that he thought that is for middle income developing countries. That one, they need to sign some international agreements and implement them. So you realize that for Ghana, if we had relied on the GSP scheme as it is now, it would not have covered substantial part of the non-traditional exports that we send to the EU, the UK. So we would have been paying more than 2/3 of our products import duty on our non-traditional exports. So that's why we actually went for the UK-Ghana Interim Trade Partnership Agreement. So in the UK-Ghana Interim Trade Partnership Agreement, there is also room for cumulation, you know, and basically the cumulation means that countries that have also signed a trade partnership agreement with UK, when they are developing countries or some LDCs, you can take advantage of the accumulation by importing some products from them as a raw material and then adding value to it. So we are foreseeing a situation that we will continue, as he said in the chat board, we continue to encourage that the UK will allow developing countries who have signed trade partnership agreement with them to continue to import some raw materials from LDCs or countries with GSP plus, and then they add value to it. And that will boost trade, will boost industrialization in Africa. But now, because Ghana actually signed this to secure our 100% duty-free, quota-free market access to the UK. The second one is also that now Ghana is having consultation with some ECOWAS member states to see how we can improve our regional value chains. So currently, we even have the EU helping some products, like some products like cosmetics, cassava, and what have you, to improve our value chains in West Africa. And in Ghana also, some of the strategic anchor in the industry that we are promoting. For example, if you take the automobile sector, you know that they have more than 10,000 components to get a vehicle. And the expectation is that we're going to, through the value chain process, we're going to import some of the components from the African countries who have the comparative advantage, and then they are LDCs and they have signed, for example, you have Ethiopia as an LDC where you can easily import leather for the vehicle seats. And then even if you encourage Liberia, because they have a lot of rubber products, they can set up automobile manufacturing of automobile tires. So in the process, then the multiplier effect will be felt in the African continent. So in Ghana, we are having discussions with our ECOWAS member states to see how we can improve the value chain. And then we are hoping that the UK will continue to allow those who have signed trade partnership agreement, especially the developing countries, to also continue to import raw materials from the LDCs and add value to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul Rahman, two questions in one of which you touched on. The whole idea about SMEs and financial institutions like yours, big capitalization and all that. But then at the end of the day, the biggest problem for all businesses and exporters are no less. It has to do with access to finance and cost of finance. I heard everything you said, but in particular reference to trade, beyond the attempt to securitize the receivables of the SME, which you describe, and I'll go to the specific question. Beyond the attempt to securitize the receivable of the SME, are there any other methods you are looking at to ensure that you can provide them with finance other than the traditional? I mean, and particularly if you can address the question on the receivable factor, that you would discount it. Am I right to say that you treat it just as any facility, because the banks I'm aware of, when they discount or your receivables, it's as good as a facility. My question is, on who is the risk if there is any delay in payment or non-payment if you are securitizing the receivables and you are discounting it? Do you bring the risk back to the SME, in which case you are adding interest to your factoring, or what? And what other ways are you trying to help SMEs to make sure they really can take advantage of the opportunity? Is Abdul Rahman, are you there? Oh, okay. It looks like he's lost connection. Okay, let me go to Elaine. There was a question that I noted here for you. It has to do particularly with your comment on the need for us to rethink the whole process of the rules of origin, and also linking it to the issue of the agriculture sector and what you have done with the WTO. In your view, do you think that let me put it this way, the approach to the rules of origin under the AFCFTA is going to change anything regarding trade in Africa as you see it? And is it going to also position African companies to be able to do better trading with the rest of the world? And I'm particularly asking this question to you because of your experience in agro industry and also in the textile industry, where the likes of AGOA, so far as my data is concerned, even the export process is dropping in terms of volume. What is going to be different, and how does that really affect the trade of West Africa to UK? Are the volumes expected to increase? What should we do to make it better?
Oh, wow. A good question, or a number of questions. First of all, I think that the Continental Free Trade Agreement has long been needed and long been coming. I just want to say that I made a presentation in 2001 in Abuja Commonwealth Conference, Ministerial Conference. And at that stage, there was only 9% of intra-African trade taking place. I don't think if in the reality of it, all these years, 20 years later, that it is actually improved in the way that it should have done. So I think that we have big expectations. I think that rules of origin have always been a difficult area. The whole accumulation and how and for the integration, because the markets are small in Africa, the production sizes are small in Africa, but there is one can optimize access into the bigger markets by actually putting ourselves together and working together. And that is often that we have different skills in different areas. And I think that I hope that what is in the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is able to actually stimulate that and make it work better. I'm not quite sure, because I always think that things like rules of origin and increasing non-tariff barriers, because I do see rules of origin as a tariff barrier, are becoming more and more the tariffs of the new world. And I think that we've really got to have our thinking caps on, and we've really got to become innovative about how we make changes or how we move forward. And sometimes that is just rethinking rules, the bigger rules. But I certainly think, I'm not quite sure, I haven't quite really thought about that question as the way you put it, but sort of off the top of my head, I'm not quite sure if it's going to achieve what it needs to achieve in doing that. And I think that an example in AGOA is car manufacturing and things like that. There are huge opportunities. In agriculture, there are enormous opportunities to add value if you look at within SADC, but it hasn't happened. And things like rules of origin and other non-tariff barriers are what holds it back. And I really think that we need to have some more forums that really effectively engage those different types of non-tariff barriers meaningfully, and not just often talking about it and then we watch them increasing as tariffs decrease or quotas decrease. So I'm probably not answering your question, but
no, you have.
That's my sort of feeling around it.
Yeah, no, you have. Okay, thanks for that. Welcome back, Abdulrahman. I will give you the last.
Thank you very much. Sorry, my network tripped.
Yes. Did you get a question before you dropped off? Hello? Oh, looks like he's gone again.
Hello?
Yes, are you there, Abdurrahman? Are you there?
Hello?
I can hear you. Did you
Hello,
get a question? I can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Wow. Okay, let me give the last question to Mr. Yamibe. If Abdurrahman comes back, he will take that question anyway. But for now, the last question is to you, and an attendee wants to know whether the rules of origin have been completed and essentially, but let me follow up with a question on that. If it's not been completed, exactly when, and I'm sure you know why I'm asking this question. So can you take the question?
Yes, okay, thank you. So far, 86% of the rules of origin have been completed. And the remaining, I will say 24 are basically what we call the product-specific rules of origin, covering maybe automobiles and some specific products. But the agreement states that state parties can go ahead and trade with the agreed rules of origin. And then the ones that are yet to be concluded, the prevailing laws in the various state parties will apply until it is concluded. But yes, the good news is that I guess as a complement to the response from Elaine on the question you asked, the rules of origin that the AFTA has adapted is what we call development oriented. So it is one going to encourage regional value chain development in Africa, because in the trade in goods agreement, there is cumulative rules of origin is allowed. So once you import raw material or intermediate product from a state party and you add value, it is accepted. So you find out that it's just a small maybe value addition that you have to put in place, and then you can export to the other state parties. So it is development friendly, and it is going to promote regional value chains. For example, in Ghana.
And just to interject, are you going to align it with the agreement with the UK in terms of the rules of origin there as well? Is going to be aligned?
No, the rules of origin with the UK, as I said, is slightly different. That one, they allow the accumulation from member states who have signed, from countries who have signed the trade partnership agreement with UK as a developing country, and then LDCs. So the same also, when you come to the AFTA, it is the state parties who have signed and ratified the agreement that when you import raw materials from there, then the accumulation will be allowed. But they, in coming out of the rules of origin in the AFTA too, they are mindful that there may be the tendency for some people to also import some products from maybe Asia and other countries, and then just take advantage of it and export to other African countries. So they are mindful of those products, and they are very strict with it. And luckily, we have the dispute settlement body. So if some products come into your market and you are not sure whether they are truly originating from the exported country, you can take advantage of it. But as I said, it is going to boost intra-African trade because, for example, currently, if you look at some companies in Ghana, like even Blue Skies, at times they import some fresh fruits from Cameroon, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Togo, Benin, and Cote d'Ivoire, and add value to them, and they are going to be accepted. You know, so it's going to boost intra-African trade.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, let me just say, there was also, they said that there is a rules of origin document on the Customs portal, and that is actually the draft. So when the heads of state finally approve in the next summit, then they will put the right rules of origin there for all to see. But those who are not conversant with it and need further or Ministry of Trade, and we'll explain it into details.
Thank you very much. So back to you, and we are over the time now. So if you can take it in a minute, Musa, the question was whether you're using the receivables of SMEs through discounting is actually treated as the banks tend to do here, where the discounting is treated as a facility, in which case, if there is any delay in payment or non-payment, you go back to the very person who you were helping in the discounting. Is that the approach? And if so, how does this help SMEs? You can go ahead. You are muted anyway, Musa.
Hello, Dave.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I was having network challenges. If you may come again.
The question has to do with the facility that not the facility, the product for SMEs. Okay. You did say that you discount their receivables, and therefore they don't necessarily have to bring you a collateral. Okay. And my question is that my experience is that most of these discounting products are also treated as if it's a facility. So the risk of non-payment or delay is put against the person you are helping. And in case there is that, then you are going to him as if you have given a facility and put interest on it. Is that the same thing BOA has? And if so, how does that help the SMEs? Are there any ways you are helping SMEs beyond this? And if you can take it very quick, we're already out of time. It looks like we are having challenges at this end. We may need to just skip the question. Jennifer, I'm coming to you to close the session, but at this stage, on my behalf as a moderator, I will definitely want to thank all the audience and then the speakers and the UK GCC in association with the UK Liberia Chamber of Commerce for putting this together. It's definitely been a stimulating discussion.
Okay, sorry, Dave. I'm back online.
Okay, please do it in 30 seconds.
Okay, so basically the risk is on the importers, bankers, right? And then we do it without recourse to the exporter. So the issue about in the event of non-payment going after the exporter, it doesn't come up.
Very good, very good.
All right.
Very good. That's good. So this is something different from what we are used to. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Yeah. So I had already said thank you to everybody. Thank you to all the speakers. Thank you to the participants. And thank you to UK GCC for the opportunity. I also want to confirm to Nick that the link was shown in the dialogue box as well as his email address, and I urge everyone to try and follow up with this. Some of us will also pass on this information to other contacts we do have, especially in associations, so they can also make input to this, and at the end of the day, it will actually lead to an increased trade between West Africa and the UK. Over to you, Jennifer. Hi, Jennifer. Was she dropped out as well?
It looks like that.
Oh dear. Okay. Thank you. Thanks to everybody. Jennifer was just going to say goodbye to everybody. So on behalf of UKGCC and the organizers, thank you for the attendance, and we look forward to the follow-up discussions and other exchanges, and for the benefit of growth in trade between UK and West Africa. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you too.
Bye.
Bye.